Hey everyone, and welcome back to Be You with Be You. On today's episode, Brian shares 4 lessons he learned through basketball that have helped him succeed as an entrepreneur. Enjoy!
The lessons that I learned through basketball is you have to improve as an individual in order to contribute more to your team, right? The more you can build yourself, the more you have to bring to the table for your team. And the more you push yourself, regardless of what level you're at, the more you inspire everyone around you on your team, right? If you're a bench warmer and you're on the end of the bench or you're just getting started and you're busting your butt and you're going in early and you're staying late, you inspire even the all-stars on the team. I can promise you that. And they don't want to let you down. And they say, so it works vice versa. And that was kind of the lessons that I was just going to give you all, as there's 4 lessons that I believe from a basketball standpoint that you all can use metaphorically in business. And the first one was, is I think that all the great teams, they have players that have great court vision. They can see what's happening on the court before it happens, right? They can anticipate. And part of the reason why is they're so in the freaking game that they have a feel for what's going on. And I want you all to understand, business is just like that. Like when you're in the hunt, you all have heard me say this, a dog in the hunt doesn't know it has fleas, right? It can't feel the bad stuff because it's so focused on what's happening that they're in the moment. But they have court vision, right? And court vision is being able to see the whole court, not just having tunnel vision on how it's affecting you. And it's about being able to anticipate, right? And I think that having that peripheral vision of your life and in your business and how all this blends is super important. And by the way, the more time that you spend in your business, the better feel for the business you're going to have. Just like the more time that you spend on the court, these players, they have a sixth sense, right? Jason Kidd was one of my favorite players. I played against him at a basketball camp. It's called Dave Kreider's basketball camp up in Cincinnati, Ohio. And he was so fast like a jet, but he could anticipate things on the court. And you would think that he has eyes in the back of his head with the passes that he would make to make people better. But it wasn't that they were open, right? He just knew what was happening on the court, so he would lead the play, and then they would be there, right? It's kind of like Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky used to always say that he never passed the puck to the person. He passed it to where they were going, right? So it's that anticipation, and that's one of the lessons that I think we can get from any sports is the more you play, right, the more you play the game of business, the more you play the game of prove it, the more you get in the game, the better feel you're going to have for what's going on in your business, when you need to lead and give directive, when you need to support, when you need to get into phase 1 in a very aggressive nature. That's why I see when people take these times off and they get out of it, it's so hard to get back to that feel, right? And it's a feeling. So that's number 1. Lesson number 2 is, you can't be a ball hog. You can't look for all the credit. Right? Like in basketball, they call it a ball hog. It's someone that dribbles the ball and they never pass it to anyone else. One of the keys is, for this business is, and I'm going to talk about it again, but is about being able to develop leadership. A part of developing leadership is trusting other people, even if they might not do it as well as you. The more that they do it, the more that they get hung by their tongue. They're snared by the own words of their mouth. They get more confident. You're not confident the first time you do something. It's the first time you did it. And so, you got to be willing to pass the ball. You got to be willing to pass it. And the best teams have the most assists. They're willing to trust other players. I can tell you, I'll never forget. Michael Jordan started winning championships when he started trusting his other players as much as he trusted himself. And that's why in 2 of his 6 championship runs, right, he did not take the game-winning shot. He actually passed it off. One time it was to Johnny Paxson. Boom, he hit it. The clock was going down. They were down by 1. He passes it to Johnny Paxson. He hits a 3. See, in Jordan's earlier years, they interviewed him. He said, I never would have passed that in my younger years, right? But he was willing to trust his teammate. Later on, same situation happened against Phoenix Suns, and he passed it to Steve Kerr. Boom, he nailed it. He was able to trust into his teammates. So I'm telling you guys is that you're developing a team right now to win a championship. And your championship might look like something with 7 zeros. Theirs might as well. Theirs might also, or it might not. But the reality of it is how can you get your team to play and how can you trust them with the ball, right? You know, you can't enable everyone. You can't do all the work for everyone. So don't be a ball hog. Be willing to let your team shine and push them up into it. Like, it's okay if they miss. You don't get better unless you miss. You don't get better unless you get up in front and do a training or try to talk about ketones and you forget what you're going to say because you're so fucking nervous. I've been there, done that, right? And for anyone on this call that hasn't, I would say that you're probably lying. Like, unless you were just born gifted. And I still get nervous when I talk, even right now. So anyway, but lesson number 3 is always share the credit. And this is something that I'm really passionate about. Coach Pitino, who had the privilege of knowing, at the University of Kentucky, he used to always talk about, you always got to stay humble, celebrate the victories, but don't embrace success. The minute you embrace success, you start believing that in your own BS, right? But always share the credit, something that I believe wholeheartedly. And this goes against the grain of a lot of influencers, a lot of gurus, right? Because they're all self-edifying. I remember back 15 years ago, there was courses, and 10 years ago about how to self-edify yourself as the expert. And I believe that a little bit, right? Like you need to be confident. You need to be certain, authority is important, but it needs to be real. And, there's so many people that I'll get on a call now. And when I hear I just turn off. Some people really buy into the self-edification. For me, it just makes me want to puke because of my schooling, because of my wiring, right? Because I want someone, when someone's giving them credit and saying, look what all I've done. Look at my cars, look at my trophies, look at my money, look at this and this. I get that. That's great. But I know that you are a part of it and you deserve it. But when that person becomes shifted and they say, this is great. And I'm truly grateful for this, but this would not be possible without this person, this person, this person, this person. I'm just a turtle on top of a fifth post. I'm telling you, when you can shift and give other people all of the credit, it will always come back to you. Don't do it for that reason, but understand that there's not, and I've said this, I got this from someone, I heard it 25 years ago, I thought it was hilarious. It took me a while to get it. There's not a turtle that gets to the top of a fence post by itself. It's just like, prove it. Like, listen, we've done amazing things. We've done over $1 billion in sales. We are the category king. We're growing, I would say, as fast as any company in the United States right now. We have so much to be grateful for. We've impacted so many people's lives that we never see, we never hear about. We're providing jobs for thousands of people. We're providing paychecks for tens of thousands of people. I mean, when you really think about that, it's overwhelming. And I can honestly tell you that there's not one person that vacuum wouldn't be filled. Like, this is so much bigger than any one person. And we wouldn't be here without the collaboration of all of them, the contribution of all of them. Like, there's so many spokes in that wheel. The wheel would not turn as fast or be successful. And that's the truth. And that goes to each and every one of you. You all hear me saying that all the time, that our superpower is our community. Our superpower is the different temperaments, talents, and convictions on this. Our superpower is the ability to push each other. Our superpower is to buy into a team, to truly be a team and raise ourselves to a different level than everyone else, right? Not take things so personally, right? Get out of the high school drama. For some of us, it's tough, right? We want significance so bad, and that's okay because we're human beings. However, I'm just telling you, one of the learning lessons I learned in basketball was the minute you start embracing your own success, the minute you start believing your own BS, and you lose your edge. And the minute that you don't realize that it takes a village, which I know that's a cliche term, but it's the truth. The minute is that I think you get blindsided. And I think that's when some devastating things happen or great learning lessons happen. So I want to encourage you, if you want to win the championship, don't make it about yourself all the time. Even though some of us have incredible huge personalities, and we're massively talented because we've earned it, we have to learn to replace that credit. and it makes us stronger. I'm telling you, be grateful for who we are, where we're at, always stay humble. Because listen, a team of people can far out contribute any one person. And that's been shown over and over in the game of basketball, the game of life. And then finally, you have to develop your team. Um, if you don't see the bigger picture of your team, you're going to be very short run, right? So develop your team. You have to be that's the only way for you to create longevity or long-term success. I don't just think in this business, I think in life. Like I think any business is about, finding the right people that fit your team. Like everyone on here, you have different teams, but we have one big team, right? But find the people that complement you, that inspire you, and push each other, right? Stay in the gym, go in early, stay up late. But it's about learning how to communicate with your teammates and being able to develop them. That's why we spend so much time on layered learning, right? Because if we're not growing, we're not getting better. We're getting worse. And I say this all the time. Like you guys are amazing. Like there's so many of you that are doing things that I'm sitting here astonished by because I've never done them. Right? You have current credibility in areas that I couldn't fathom right now. Now I think I have current credibility in other areas, or I have wisdom in other areas, and I'm in the game. But like us together, that's what creates the exponential, the halo effect that we feel. Just remember that, you're all, I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it. I always say you're only as good as your weakest link, but that is the truth. Like, is like, so develop your team, develop your team. And so, one of the things that I would just tell you guys is like, don't just seek money, seek happiness. I mean, money can buy you happiness for a little bit of time. There's no doubt about it. Promise you, it's fun. However, long-term and sustainable happiness comes from developing a team, contributing to something bigger than you are, focusing on the journey, staying humble, giving other people the credit. The only way you can give other people the credit is if you're in the game and you're working with other people. So how many, like, keep growing and developing your team and be proud of it, right? And remember, your team's always going to have a revolving door. That's like basketball. That's like championships, right? You always got to look at the incoming class, the freshmen. Who are the new freshmen coming on board? You got to develop those freshmen so when they get to be seniors that they can contribute back. Then you have some people that are seniors, they graduate, they move on with their lives. Some of them are sophomores and they start partying too much and they flunk out. I mean, you're going to have some people get started with you, and after 6 months, you'll be like, where did they go? But they had a part of helping build you, right? So be grateful for everything. And that's all I have to say for today. I think it's a wonderful time of the year, and it's your time to shine right now. Make the most of it. Listen, time, it is here. It's fast, and we have so much opportunity in front of us. The question is, are you making the most of it?